welcome everyone to the February Focus Friday session. On your screen is our housekeeping reminder that this session is being recorded. If you have a question, feel free to ask them anytime. You can ask them through the chat feature or through the Q&A feature, either one. Presentations will be emailed to you in the beginning of next week. And that's about it. The only other thing is at the end of the session, after you drop, you'll get a link to fill out an evaluation, a survey, and we just ask that you do so and give us feedback of what you thought of this session, and then any ideas you have for any future sessions. I'm here with Renee.
Hey everyone! Happy Friday.
So let me go through here now and lost that. Look at that. Upcoming sessions for February. Next week we have the February Virtual Users Group, which is going to talk about Access Unlocked, Mastering Public Usage, and Seamless SSO in WebFOCUS. Little plug for the WebFOCUS side. Of course, I did too many. All right, so I'm going to kick it off and talk about functions. Now, last time I talked about functions, I think I talked about the partition functions, partition agger, partition ref, which you can use to replace the use of last in your current code. So the goal of today is to show you these are functions that you might be using, and then these are alternative functions, newer functions. We call them simplified functions, which you can also probably use, which may be a little more efficient for you, and I'll explain why that would be. All right, so I mentioned simplified function. What is a simplified function? It has less parameters. So the legacy functions, you have your input values or parameters, you have output parameters, but along with those, you have to tell the function the lengths of each of the parameters. In a simplified function, you no longer have to do that. You have the parameters, but you don't have to worry about the lengths because we'll figure it out. So it's more like your normal everyday type of functions. There is no output parameter in a simplified function. So the output now is determined based, if you're doing a define, on the format of the new column, the new variable, the new field that you're creating. The big advantage of simplified functions is that they were written in order to be optimizable in the SQL world. All right, so I see we have some questions. No upgrade for me asks, what's wrong with the complex functions that you had to make simple ones? Well, again, nothing except for the things I've already mentioned. We have non-standard parameters. Sometimes you have to put the lengths in, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you put the parameter name and then the parameter length. Sometimes you did the length first and then the name. So it kept you on your toes. And they probably didn't get translated to SQL. Never Writes Code asks, you don't expect us to rewrite all of our code to use these new functions, do you? So absolutely not. All of the old legacy functions will still be available, are still available for upward compatibility so that you don't have any issues. Lots of questions today. Cutting Edge asks, these are new, so they must be better, right? Not necessarily. So we have some functions that are highly specialized. So if you look at lowercase will take and lowercase every character in a string, but then we also have LC word. So LC word will keep the first character in each word uppercase. We now also have LC word 2, which keeps the first character of each word uppercase, plus uppercases characters after apostrophes. And then we have LC word 3, which is similar to LC word 2, but keeps uppercase characters after apostrophes that are not followed by a space. So all of this, we do not have a simplified version. We do have a simplified version of lowercase, though. All right, so we're going to talk about some of these functions. Again, this is just an overview. It's not a definitive list, but these are some of the ones we're going to look at. We're also going to look at some date time functions, DTAdd, DTDiff. All right, so let's start with character length. So char underscore length will return the length in characters of a string. So before you were probably using arglen. So in my example in the compute, I use char character length, char underscore length, and I use arglen so you can see what the differences look like. And in the output, notice that country len, which uses character length, is 10 for every single entry, even though the country lengths are not the same. So why would that be? The country field has a format of A10. So whether you have spaces, trailing spaces or not, it's always going to be 10 characters in length because you'll have space, 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 and those count. arglen, on the other hand, only shows you up until the last non-blank character. So the length using arglen is the true length of the field. If you want to see the true length and you want to use character length, then I would move that field into a variable field, an ANV, and then I can use the char length, and then it will know, because when you pass the country into a variable country, we will then trim off the trailing spaces. And notice we actually are using the trim v function to do that. Looking at character length, there's only one parameter, and that's the field that you're getting the length from, where on the arglen you have to say, oh, I'm passing in 10 characters in country, and I want the result to be an I3 format. All right, digits converts an integer value to alpha. I mean, before you could have just used edit, but then edit you're limited to, I want to say it's about 11 digits. So you have digits, which is a little more flexible, and when you're doing character conversion using edit, those will not transfer to SQL. Notice that you see the leading zeros in the value when you use digits. Lowercase is all characters. Pretty straightforward. And then I show you examples with the LC word 2, and LC word 3. LPAD. So pad an alpha field on the left side. So if I have country is England, and I pad it to the left up until I'm doing 20 characters, then it's going to then prepend the value of the field with the character that you're adding into it. So I do 20, I do 10. Any questions? Okay. We have an L trim, which is a left trim. If I want to trim the leading spaces in a field, so in this case, I have RJ country, where I right justify the country. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to shift it over to the right so that I did have leading spaces. And then I can L trim it. And then you see like CL trim. Now England is back on the right side. Position. The older function was posit, and you want to see where in a string another string exists. So you can say position, show me the position where AN starts in the value of the country field. So before I said country length 10, I'm looking for AN, which is a length 2, and I want to return it in an integer 2 because it's going to give me the numeric position of where the string starts. So for England, we get 5 and 5, Japan 4 and 4, and so forth. RPad pads your string, but on the right side. So we have CRPad uses RPad, and we're putting pound signs out to 10 characters. And then we have CVRPad, which is doing it, but it's doing it on an A and V field. So, well, that was a question, but so why in CRPad do we not see any pound signs? We do see them in CRVPad. So the difference is, we mentioned before, country is an A10. A10 has the trailing spaces. So when I try to pad out to 10 characters, there's really no padding because the 10 characters are already accounted for. So that's why CRPad doesn't have any pound signs, where CVRPad does, because we trimmed out the trailing spaces and put it in an A and V. RTrim removes trailing spaces in an alpha field. So here I'm doing an RTrim of country, and I'm concatenating a Z. And then I'm doing it using the trim function and the trim V. Notice we have trim and trim V. So when we had the legacy functions, we did it for character strings, ANs, and then we started working with A and Vs, and then we had to come up with new functions to accommodate that. So then we have the trim V function. The simplified functions, it doesn't matter. Whatever your output format is what you're going to get back in your result. So if I have an A11, I'm going to get an A11, but if I have an A11V, I'll get A11V. All right, so notice in CTrim, the Z is sitting out on the right. There's the question I was looking for. Inquiring minds ask, why are there blanks between the country value and the Z for CTrim if the trim function removed trailing spaces? And again, in that case, the country was an A10 format, so it includes the trailing spaces. Substring replaces sub-str. So you give it the field name that you're looking for, the starting position, and the length. Token says I want to break up a string or a field, an alpha field, based on a delimiter. So if I want the third token in a sentence that has multiple words, I want the third word, then I will do the number 3. So you have the string, the delimiter in that case would be a space, and then I want the third token, the third value that's enclosed in spaces. So that's replacing getToke. So in this case, I'm doing token model, and I'm using like a sentence, I'm using the space, and I'm taking the third parameter. So for model 2004 door, the third token would then be door. Notice the mget_toke last. So that is if I want to then get the last token in a string. I don't have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. I just say, give me the -1. And you can go back further. You can do -1, -2, -3, etc. Hey. What version of WebFOCUS are the simplified functions available? They've been in for a while. I want to say 7709, so it's probably 80 even. They should be in that far back. Okay, trim underscore. So we had L trim, we had R trim, now we have trim underscore. This will remove leading and or trailing spaces, and in fact, any character, any leading or trailing character, either in the beginning or the end or both of a particular field. So here I have my new country, 820. I'm putting 5 dashes, the country, and then 5 dashes. And then I'm using trim underscore to remove the leading dashes, the trailing dashes, and then both of them. More questions. Snarkmeister asks, this is the third do trim function. Wouldn't trim underscore have been simple enough? Yeah, probably. But I think the L trim and the R trim, since they're available in other SQL select statements, that they would translate easier. Yeah. Upper, this one I use a lot. I'm doing searches on text, so not just a couple words, but text, and I want to see like an old case. Can I find an old case that asked about this particular topic before? So what I do is I uppercase the subject of the ticket, and then I uppercase what I'm looking for, so that way I can do a comparison that says where upper subject equals upper what I'm looking for. In this case, we're doing lower country, and then we're uppering end country. So we're basically lowering it and then uppering it again, just to show you that it actually works. Date time functions, we have DT add. Before we had HAdd. So this is a little nicer. DT add for date P2M is we're going to add 2 months. And the result of the DT functions is usually going to be a full component date or date time. Notice it doesn't matter what you're putting in. Whatever your first parameter is, the format, that determines pretty much what your output's going to be. So in this case, T-day is a YYMD, and T-date time is an HYYMDS. So the result will be whatever those parameters are. And you can see that in the output where we have T-day plus 5 using HAdd, we actually get the time component in there. What now? Captain Obvious asks, date time has the same number of parameters as DT add, but now you have to spell out the component. Isn't that really simpler? Yeah, whatever. So yeah, so it's basically the same parameters because you have the input field, what the component is that you're adding, and then how many of them you're adding. Not quite sure why we went from the abbreviations to spelling out, but again, I'm going to go with the SQL and trying to get things to translate better. DT diff, similar to DT add. And DT part returns an integer component of a date or date time. So if you're pulling out month, you're going to get 1 to 12. If you're pulling out day, you'll get 1 to 31, depending on the month, etc. Before we had H part, which did the same thing, and then we have also H name. D trunk. D trunk will return the start of a specific date period. So if I have a date time and I want to get the beginning of the month, the end of the month, those kind of things, that's where D trunk would come into play. All right, so this one hopefully I saved the best for last. We have a whole bunch of regular expression functions, and I'm going to show you regular expression replace, regex replace. This has become my favorite little function. I'm not going into all of them because regular expressions can be a whole topic in itself. But in this case, I was asked that we actually no, I used this when I did some folk log processing, because in our databases, some of your company names might have commas, dots, non-standard type characters, even the space. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a file name from the company name. So in this case, I have account name 0, which is my starting point. This space is comma my dot account dot name. And what I want to do is clean it up a bit, and I want to replace the spaces, the comma, and the dots to underscores. And this is how I did it. I took the value and I put it in and I replaced it, the space with an underscore. And then I took the result of that and replaced the comma with an underscore. And then I took the result of that and replaced the period with an underscore. And at the bottom, you see my output from the dash type. I have everything separated now by an underscore. Using regular expressions, I can do it in one command. So I have my baseline name 0, and then name 2 is going to be the regular expression underscore replace. Input field is account name 0. And then in the brackets, I'm saying, so if I match a space, a comma, or a dot, I'm going to replace it with the underscore in the second parameter. And I get the same results, and it went from 3 lines or 4 lines down to 1. So I hope there was something in there that you can use. At some point, you might want to just, as you're modifying code, I'm not saying go back and rewrite it, but if you're in there anyway, because you're adding a field or something, you might want to look at maybe incorporating some of these newer functions. So if there's no further questions, I will stop sharing and let Renee take it over.
Thank you, Walter. All right, everyone. Hello, happy Friday to all. So glad you're taking the time to attend. I know everybody's schedule is busy. So give me a moment just here to share my screen with you guys. Okay. So I'm excited about today's topic. Hopefully you are attending and you are as well. Designer offers a lot of capabilities. And I don't believe that all of our customers are fully aware of some things that are simply just a check option that can give you a lot of dynamic capabilities with very little effort. And so, assuming that you've used Designer and Designer visualization, I'm in the WebFOCUS Hub. I am running in release 9.3.6. It's our latest release. And I'm going to just start with a create visualization. Create a standalone visualization. And just want to showcase that there's a section of interactivity options. And that's kind of what today's discussion is all about in demonstration. So I'm going to go into my retail demo, WF Retail Lite. Again, this is created through the tutorials, and I've discussed that in the past. Certainly you can reach out if you have any questions on that. And I'm going to create a visualization. Just to be aware of that, my retail demo, WF Retail Lite, is flat files. It's not relational. And so the reason why some of the links might take a little longer, it showcases well in the demonstration. But it's sometimes going over 500,000 records up to 2.5 million records. So you can see a little bit of a delay, but it showcases and gives you time to see what I'm clicking through. I just wanted to mention that off the top. So I'm in WebFOCUS Designer in 9.3.6. And without having done anything at all, going into the Settings and Format panel and scroll down, I'm on the Settings tab. You see the buckets, right, vertical, horizontal, because you default into a stack chart in Designer. And if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see filters bucket for static filters, right? And then you have your dynamic filters here in the filter toolbar, just to give you a little heads up for those that might not be as familiar with Designer. And then in the content settings section, you'll see a section very down the very bottom, interactivity. So you probably know with WebFOCUS that you can create drill downs, right, to go from one chart, one visualization chart report to another. And these can be part of a page that's embedded within a portal, but even just a standalone visualization, that's true. But that requires work. And I wanted to discuss the options that are available to you with just these little checkboxes, just being aware of the functionality and the capability, and maybe you can leverage it depending on your business requirements. And that's the whole point of this demonstration and discussion. So the first one I want to talk about is the one that's at the top of that list, Run with Insight. This is different from Get Insights, from your synonym when you come in and everything like that. This Run with Insight feature is basically, think of it as like Designer visualization light for charts, right? It allows you to provide the user with that chart the ability to interactively select measures and dimensions. They show the data field real time. It actually gets rebuilt as you make adjustments, and you can apply filters. You can change what the chart looks like, the chart type, etc. And I'm going to kind of go into a quick demonstration of that. But I think it's really invaluable. Now, again, you'll see this feature if you're within a chart type. So if I check it, you can see it will disable some other features because it's a chart. Some other features get disabled with interactivity. That's to be expected. But you have to be in a chart type. So if I were to go over here to my content, my template or content picker, and select grid, which is a table file underneath the scene, behind the scenes, right? It actually takes that option away because it's a report versus a chart. So I'm going to undo that just to bring it back to a chart type and Run with Insight. And I'm not even going to do anything at this point. I'm not even adding any fields to any of the buckets. I want to showcase this feature just coming into Designer, having done nothing but check the box. I think it's exciting. So let me just run it. So what do you see? I admit what you see right now is not a lot, right? But that's deliberate. We didn't set up a base chart at runtime, and we certainly, and I would recommend that you probably do that, right? But I want to showcase the features, so I'm just going to start off fresh with nothing there. And we give you options for vertical axis, horizontal axis, size, color. Seems similar to Designer. It's not going to be everything, but it gives you some, it uses some capability to create dynamic charts on the fly and adjust accordingly. So for the vertical axis, I'm going to select revenue. Not a very informative chart yet, but you see where I'm going. And then for horizontal, I'll click the plus, and then I can select a field here, and I can actually use the search to search what I need for. And I started putting in prod for product, and I'll select product category for my horizontal axis. So far, so good. Again, very basic chart, but you get the idea. I see revenue, I see product category. There were 7 product categories in the retail database, and there's total revenue going against all the data. And now let's select something for color. And maybe in this case, I'll pick a sale year. And select that field. And now you'll see the legend come up for the different years. And I think I have up to 2025 in this particular environment. Okay, so what else can I do? And there's other options here. There's this little ellipse you see. If you hover over it, it says more options. Well, if I click that, one of the options is show data label. Now I can select that, and once I click it, you'll actually see the data labels come up. Obviously, if you hover over, right, you have the tooltips. The data labels might be something that's important. You could certainly leverage it. If you have layers that are very close together, like stacked, you might see the labels come on top of each other a bit. So I'm just going to turn that off, but you have that feature available to you. And the user certainly could leverage it. What else can I do? I can decide, well, maybe I want to add another verb. So instead of just revenue, maybe I'll click and I'll say, you know what, I want to add gross profit. And now what you'll see is it'll do a split access of revenue and gross profit. Okay, what else can I do? You'll see that you actually have like a little filter icon here, show filter, and it'll bring up like a little filter bar up here. And if you click that, you can select the field to filter on. And it can be multiple filters, but let's just do, let's say product category just for ease of use here. And you can see I have product categories now, a filter, and I can actually click it and say, you know what, maybe I want, I don't know, accessories, computer, stereo system, television, video production. I want everything but camcorder and media player. And let that apply.
Renee?
Yes. There's a question?
There's a question. Yep.
Sure.
And hi, Don. Is WebFOCUS Designer available through the WebFOCUS installation, or is it an add-on? If add-on, is there an additional license fee?
WebFOCUS Designer is part of WebFOCUS, absolutely, and it's not part with the latest licensing that we have. It's part and parcel of it. And this is what I'm showcasing is a feature within Designer. So you're creating your standalone visualizations, and then you could add this feature on to actually, when at runtime, for the user to dynamically adjust and create the chart on the fly according to their business needs. Gives them more flexibility and helps you to avoid maybe creating many different charts to answer several different questions. Hopefully that answers the question. Okay. So you can see that the chart did filter, and certainly I could go to the filter here and add additional fields. If I want, I can remove a filter by just with the little X, hovering over, and it'll take it off. And that's, so again, I'm just showcasing a very simple example. And then if I don't want to see this filter bar, I could actually hide it. If I had filtering, it would still be applicable. Something to note over here, there's export data and export image. Export image will take the image of what you have right now for the chart and save it. And export data will export the data out based on whatever filtering that you have into Excel. So something just to be aware of, that you have that capability. What else? Okay, I showed filtering. What else can I show? Why don't we do this? Why don't I show that you have different options here for the series layout, right? By default, it's stacked, but maybe I want to see the bars side by side. Or maybe I want to see them absolute, kind of nested within each other. And then there's even an option for a percent. I'll just wait for the chart to show up. Right? So there's another option here too, but I'm not going to showcase that just for time. I'll come back to stacked. Another cool option, just as that reverting back, is that you have the ability to swap the axis even here. Right? So if I click that, you'll see swap. Just give that a moment. Again, it is going against a lot of data. And then I could just bring that back if I want to. Another little thing I like to showcase that you might not be aware of or noticed is on top of the vertical, the verb objects, right? The measures for the chart. You can see it says summary. And if I click that, I actually have average, max, and min. So I could change that. While revenue is summary, I can make gross profit, which was summary, now average. Now hover over that and you can see it says average gross profit. And then I could change it again to max or min, or I could hover over that and say, you know what, at this point I don't want to see gross profit anymore. So I won't have the split axis at that point. Certainly you have the option to sort. If you hover over, you can see you could sort appropriately the different objects. Maybe also here, just different, changing the chart types. Let's say I wanted an area chart. So I can make that an area, or I could even change that to a different chart type and say, you know what, nah, I want to see line. One thing I will note is if it ends up going to blended, you can't revert back to a split axis. It's one of the features that's not there. But certainly if you started out with a split axis, you can do what I'll do right now, which is I could reset back. And that would reset back. And again, because I started out with a chart that really had nothing added to it for that visualization other than checking run with Insight, that was all I had. So that's what it reverts back to. But you can see you really do have a lot of control. And I'm just going to close this out and just showcase now really probably what you would do is you would have something like, you know, I would put product category in, and I probably would have revenue and maybe gross profit. And it does a split axis. You'll see here kind of blended is out because we have the run with Insight check. And certainly if I run this now, you'll see the run with Insight has a starting point now for the chart. And it'll display that. And then certainly I could, if I wanted to, you know, add, you know, a field like, you know, sale year, just to say, Oh, it helps if I spell it right. Find it. Okay. And you can see the impact on that. So you can change it, adjust it accordingly. Now, what I want to do here is I'm going to just save this. I want to showcase something that I think may result in people not leveraging this feature. So I kind of want to just call this, let's just call this designer run with insight chart, something like that. You know, well, obviously it would be a chart or retail, something like that. And let's just save that. You can see it saved it. Great. Little toaster message. And then I can see that title is up there. And now what you might want to do is convert this to a page, right? So when you take new content and you convert it to a page within designer visualization, that's called an authored page. And in that situation, it's going to pop up a message saying that this change will deactivate certain features available for various content types, including Drill Anywhere, AutoLink, AutoDrill, and/or Run with Insight. Run with Insight is the feature that we're using, and you can proceed or cancel. If you proceed, it's going to convert it to a page. You can't revert that back. That's why I saved it. Or I could just cancel out of it. But I'm going to proceed because I just want to showcase it. Now converted it to a page, and certainly if I run this page, I get my page, it runs my chart, but notice it's just the chart output that default. I don't see any kind of capability here that I saw with Run with Insight when I had it as a standalone visualization. And while it's true that if you convert a page, that will happen, I'm going to close this out. So we have that visualization that we just created with Run with Insight. And now I'm going to go plus assemble visualization. So I'm going to create a page from existing content, right? Which does have different capabilities, more robust capabilities. We're working on combining the assembled and authored tools together. But in the meantime, they are separate capabilities. So I created an assembled visualization page, and I'm going to bring in that visualization that we just created with the Run with Insight checked. Now, you'll notice that it looks very similar to when we converted the page. Notice I didn't get an error message indicating no, that's going to be disabled. It's not disabled. And if in fact you'll notice right here, you'll see a little icon right here, a little hand, the finger and everything. Now, you can't do anything in preview. You have to run it, of course. That would make sense. But we do show you the icon there, the impact. And so now I have it as part of a page, and I can actually hover over that. It says Explore with Insight. Educate user. Now I have that capability of creating that visualization and giving the user the capability of adjusting it accordingly, dynamically on the fly, possibly reducing all effort being necessary to maintain a variety of different charts, giving the user that type of control. Again, not always something you would have in every situation, but certainly to be aware that the capability is there, and it's literally a checkbox. And there is a save function once you run it in this way where you could save that procedure and everything like that, even with adjustments and everything accordingly. So again, I think it's a great feature, and to be aware of the fact that you're not limited in that feature if you convert to a page. It's only in the conversion to an authored page that these features that I'm going to talk about today will not be enabled and are disabled. But however, if you have an assembled visualization page, you can leverage these features. These features are truly enabled, and they're literally a checkbox. That's why I'm excited. It's not a lot of effort to get a lot out of Designer and WebFOCUS and to meet, hopefully, your business needs, right? So that's Run with Insight. Let me close this out, and I'm going to come back into Create Visualizations because I want to talk about other features. And again, you create a lot of manual drill downs, I'm sure of it. And manual drill downs have their place, and we provide that functionality within Designer. I'm not going to talk about that today. But what I do want to talk about is, again, the interactivity option. So I'm going to pick IBI SAM first, and I'm going to pick the car master and create a visualization first. And I'm not going to do anything with it at this point, but I just want to scroll down, and you'll see in the interactivity section, you'll notice AutoDrill is disabled. And what we do is when you start Designer and you select your metadata, your synonym, whether it's a synonym or an enhanced, like reporting object. And either way, what we do is we check and see if whether or not you have any hierarchies established within that master file description, within that synonym. And if you do, then that feature will be enabled. And so what is the feature? The feature is basically it allows WebFOCUS through Designer, for whether it's a report or a chart, doesn't matter the type of visualization, but either way, it will actually dynamically create drill down links based on hierarchical data, assuming that the hierarchy is referenced within the request. You have to have a hierarchy actually referenced. So the first part of the feature is just recognizing when you come in with a synonym, whether or not there's a hierarchy in the synonym or not. So CAR does not have a hierarchy, so AutoDrill is automatically disabled. You cannot leverage that feature with CAR. Now, if I had a different CAR synonym that had a hierarchy established, then that would be enabled. So I'm going to close this one out, and now I'm going to go to W. Yes, sure. Question?
Yeah, how can I control which fields are visible within Insight to select from? I only want to expose a subset of my available fields.
At this point, it's based on the synonym that you have. So literally, like when I created that run with Insight, and I had no field selected and everything, it has everything available to it. So what you would do is you would have a synonym that would restrict the fields that are available, and you would reference that for that visualization where you would enable run with Insight so that you can restrict the fields. Like particularly, like think of it as if you had a relational data adapter, right? A synonym doesn't have to describe every field in that relational table. So you certainly could have another synonym that only has maybe the 10 fields that you want to be applicable to that run with Insight request. And then you could reference that synonym for that visualization where you enable run with Insight. And that's how you would do it. So you need to restrict it at the synonym level. It's not done via the option with run with Insight, because we try to make it as simple as possible. Just enable it and then run with it. But it's a great question because you can restrict it, but you need to restrict it at the synonym level.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Great questions. Means you paid attention. I love it. And these, again, I think they're great features. That's why I talk about them. So, okay, so now I'm going to go create visualization. And this time I'm going to select WF Retail Lite. And WF Retail Lite does certainly have and I'm going to go to the hub real quick while I'm waiting for that. And I'm just going to open up as text WF Retail Lite, and I'm going to actually search a folder. Hopefully, and I did not spell folder right. Broad products. And you can see here where I have product category, product subcategory, and model are actually a hierarchy that's established. One of many in WF Retail Lite, right? So I'm going to close that out, but I just wanted to showcase it for your reference that there is a hierarchy, at least one in there. And so now when I come in to my retail demo and I select WF Retail Lite, without having done anything else, but just checking that interactivity option, you can see AutoDrill is available to be enabled because it recognizes that there are hierarchies that do exist within that synonym. So I'm going to check AutoDrill. And the very first thing, so again, what does AutoDrill do? It's going to dynamically create drill downs based on hierarchies that exist in the data, again, assuming that you reference such fields. So I want to showcase first, let me just put revenue. And again, it could be for charts or reports. I'm just going to put revenue in. Now, guys, you know, that's kind of silly chart, I know, but revenue is the only thing there. There's not going to be any, if I hover, I just see the tooltip, there's no links there for me. Okay. So let me pick something else. I'm going to go to product, but I'm not going to pick from the hierarchy from product. I'm going to go down past, and I'm going to just select brand. Now, brand, if I would have searched the synonym for WF Retail Lite, doesn't have a hierarchy associated with it. So the fields that are part of this visualization don't have any hierarchy references. And if I run that, and certainly I'll get the tooltips with the values, but I'm not getting any drill downs available. Again, because while the feature is enabled, I'm not referencing a hierarchy. And the same would be true whether this was a report or the chart that I just showcased. So let me get rid of brand, and we'll go to our handy dandy product category. My favorite field, better WF Retail Light. And now I am referencing a field that's part of a hierarchy. And if I run that, what is the difference that I see? Again, remember, while I'm letting that run, I have AutoDrill enabled, right? Come back. And now when I hover over, I'll actually see the tooltip. I actually have a drill down with its charts. Otherwise, for reports, you'll see its actual links within the values in the report. And then it'll tell me drill down to product subcategory. I'm at the top of the hierarchy, so it's going to tell me drill down. If I do click drill down, it will run, and now I'll see the product subcategories. Again, I didn't have to do anything but check a box to have this capability. Now you'll see when I hover over, there'll be a reset if I've gone at least one level, where I can reset back to what the chart was originally run at execution time. I can go up the hierarchy, I can go down. And remember, this is only 3 levels, so I can drill down to model. Let me drill down to model. And while I'm doing that, you'll notice you get breadcrumbs up here on top, which you can also use to navigate as well, like home goes to the very top and resets. And then if I cover, now I'm at the lowest level of the hierarchy, you can see it says go up to product subcategory, or I can reset. Again, these available. But you get the idea. Not to spend a lot of time on it. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I want to spend the time so that you're aware of the capabilities. And certainly, if I converted this to a report and I run it, just so that you can see the difference for comparative purposes, you can see here, computers, and then I can drill down. I click that and I get that, and then I can drill down to product subcategory. And then I'll see the breakdown of that report. And then I can click and I can reset. I can go up to product category. I can drill down to model, same capabilities that you saw. It's just a little different because it's a report versus a chart. Chart has it in the tooltips. Here you see the drill down. You click and you get the capability of going to, as appropriate in the hierarchy. And so pretty straightforward, right? I think so. For little effort, for literally a checkbox and having hierarchies within your data. Now I do want to showcase, I'm going to come back, I'm going to undo so I can come back to the chart representation. And so, okay, I have my product category and revenue. Back to what we have. I still have AutoDrill enabled. And I'm going to take out product category, and I just want to showcase you potentially could, if you want to, come into the middle of a hierarchy. So I'll put product subcategory in, still part of a hierarchy. And if I were to run that, what I'll see is now I will see product subcategory right by revenue. And then if I were to click, let's see, smartphone, right? I can drill down to the models or go up to product category because now I'm in the middle of the hierarchy. Once I go a level, I have the option to reset. And now I can only go up because I'm already at the lowest level. You get the idea. So it doesn't have to be at the top. Most likely it would be. I mean, that probably would make the most sense. But again, we do give you that flexibility. And just again, to showcase it from a report perspective, I know that's important. This is not limited to charts alone. This is capabilities there for reports. So let me just pick smartphone. And here I can go up to product category, or down here, certainly could do that. Or let me just drill down to model again. But you get the idea. So you have to have a hierarchy reference. It doesn't have to be at the top of the hierarchy. It can be in the middle of the hierarchy, but most likely probably makes more sense to be at the top. But again, the capability is there. I'm going to undo, come back to the chart. I'm going to remove product subcategory. And now I'm going to put back product category, but I'm going to make this a little bit more complicated now of a chart. I'm also going to add, let's see, store business region as a color. Right. And here you're seeing limited, right, chart. What you're seeing in preview is different than runtime, right, because of the limited data, right, because of what live data is set up to. But if I run this, there is an interesting phenomenon when it comes to, which is necessary when it comes to charts, because now I have multiple dimensions within the chart. I have product category as a dimension, but I also have store business region. And so you're going to see, so how do we filter based on that for the chart? So we give you the flexibility actually with the drill to, right? So it's actually telling you here I could go to store business, right? You can see that there's multiple options. I can drill down to product subcategory or the store business subregion or with filters for either of those. So let me just, if I were to pick, I'm going to pick product subcategory. Notice I was in stereo systems in North America. So it's going to go down to the product subcategory, but it's still going to keep all the store business regions, right? You can see that, and you can see that here just from the chart alone. Now, if I reset and come back, just give that a moment. Again, it's going through a large amount of data that's all strictly flat files. And then I come back and I go do drill down to product subcategory with filters. So I'm in stereo systems with North America. So now it's going to go down to product subcategory, but it's going to filter on the store business region and keep it to North America. Let's see. And then I'm going to come back and reset because I just want to showcase it from the other side, just so that you're familiar with the options. And again, this is specific for charts. And we wanted to give you the flexibility on being able to adjust accordingly how you want, because there might be cases where you want to apply it and other cases that you don't. So here now, if I pick the store business subregion, I'm still going to get all the product categories because I didn't select the option with filters. And let that run just so that you can see the impact of it. Certainly that behaved as I indicated. And let me just reset back. And just take a moment and we'll do one more, right? So here, and we'll do the store business subregion with filters. And now it's actually going to apply a product category as well, so that you'll see the impact on the chart as a filter. So you get the idea. And I want to showcase this now, important for a report purpose, right? So I'm going to switch it to a report. Now store business region became a lower level by field to product category, right? As product category is the higher level by field, that was just me changing over the chart type. And now if I run it, you'll see that you get drill downs on both of those fills, but they respect the sort order. So it's different. You're not going to see the links the way you do with a chart. And that's to be expected. It's the nature of a report versus a chart, right? So if I pick accessories here and say drill down to product subcategory, I'm going to see the product subcategories for accessories, but I'm going to see the appropriate store business regions. It's not going to be limited just to North America because I didn't select at that level, right? Certainly you see that. And then if I reset and come back, let's do that one more moment. If I select North America and go down to the store business subregion, I'll get the store business subregions, but they will be within accessories, right? Because that's the link where I clicked it. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, pretty straightforward, but I kind of just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the different capabilities. And certainly I could go another level. If I wanted to, let me convert this back, undo, and yeah, okay, blended access. And let me add one other thing. Let me put sale year to a multi-page, just to show it with a chart. And then again, I'm still AutoDrill. Just let that run. But all from a simple checkbox. Now you're going to get, again, the multi-page because it's generating multiple pages, but now you're going to see when I hover over is additional options, right? Because now I have another dimension that's I'm using to the multi-page by sale quarter. So I got sale quarter and sale quarter with filters. And if I did that, certainly you would see it as appropriate. Just to save time, I'm not going to, but I wanted to showcase that that was certainly, you could have more levels than you would expect otherwise. Now I want to come back and I'm going to go back. I just wanted to start off fresh. I'm going to create a visualization again. So,
Renee?
Yes, sure. Good time for a question.
So is Insight AutoDrill experience supported on mobile devices and tablets?
It should be, yes. Absolutely. It would be part of a page, right? And you sort of, I can add that, and I'll try to showcase that in a few minutes, that I can add this to a page, an assemble visualization page, and the capabilities are there. So it should work regardless of whether you're on a desktop, laptop, or mobile device. I'm going to come in. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to come back into WF Retail Lite. And now there is another option here, drill anywhere. Now, if I were to bring up car, and just for the time purposes, I'm not going to, but if you remember from earlier, AutoDrill was the only thing that was disabled for car, but drill anywhere was enabled. So what does drill anywhere do? Well, we thought about it. We created the AutoDrill feature, and then we said, well, what if you don't have any hierarchies in your data? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to still, gain insight from your content? So Drill Anywhere is basically like an enhanced version of AutoDrill. AutoDrill has the requirement of a hierarchy, but Drill Anywhere does not. It doesn't require any part of your synonym to have any hierarchy in there, and you can drill from fields in your data source and explore relationships between different fields without having any hierarchy available. So simply here, all I'm going to do here is just say add product category and revenue again. And I have Drill Anywhere enabled, and I'm going to run it. It is as simple as that. It's literally a checkbox. And let's see, I pick computers, and I go drill to, and I'll scroll somewhere. Probably past, and I was looking for city, country. Yeah, let's go to that one. I'm not going to demonstrate several level deep. It's the idea that you can explore the data. So here I went and put up a series of fields that could be utilized based on it, and said, okay, I'm looking at the synonym. This is what I'm going to give you. Now you can choose. Okay, now this is the chart I'm coming up with. So what else? Maybe I want to look at Canada, and then here I want to go to sale year. And then I can wait for that chart to come up. And then maybe I can go and say, the sale year quarter. And you can keep navigating through. And you do have the breadcrumbs on the top to navigate back to where you were as well, if you wish. So, and then certainly I could go to 2023, and here I can go to sale quarter. But I think you get the idea of it. And again, no hierarchy is required with Drill Anywhere. You truly can explore the data without having that requirement. But AutoDrill, again, can leverage what already exists as part of the synonyms. You do need to have a hierarchy existing. And then certainly if I were to change this to a report just for the purposes of demonstration, I'll run that. And again, I'm not going to navigate too deeply, but you get the idea here. If I were to pick computers and drill to, and I'll just say, yeah, sale year, just for the purposes of time and everything like that. I could do the exact same navigation here that I did within, and then I can go accordingly. So you get the idea of it. And it is as simple as that. Again, all I did was have Drill Anywhere checked. That's the only thing I did. So there's another interactivity option that we picked. Now, one that I'm going to come back and make this actually, I'm going to undo, come back to a chart. I'm going to uncheck Drill Anywhere. Notice that when you pick Drill Anywhere and AutoDrill, Run with Insight is disabled, just like we saw with Run with Insight, it disabled those if you're in a chart, of course. You can't have Run with Insight with the AutoDrill capabilities that I talked about. But here I want to pick AutoLink. So if I were to run this, and I just select AutoLink, all I get is the tooltip. There's nothing connected. What AutoLink is doing, it's dynamically linking charts and reports that are out there based on their common source fields, parameters that are available. That's an AutoLink target that's been designated for that, so that you can discover new possibilities in your data and explore those relationships. But the drill downs do not have to manually be maintained, created, etc. So that's kind of cool. So I did this deliberately in this environment because I deliberately didn't have any AutoLink targets. Certainly, like you can make this like an AutoLink target if I wanted to. But I'm going to come back here to the hub, and I'm going to navigate to my retail demo and my small widgets, and I have a category sales 3, which is really a duplicate of category sales. And I'm actually going to go to properties, right? Click on properties and go to the advanced tab. And if I scroll down, I'm going to make this an AutoLink target and save it. And category sales 3, this particular, and I'll just close down the properties for the moment. That category sales 3 has a parameter that's available on product category. So now let me come back here. And again, I have my AutoLink still checked, and I'm going to run it. And when I run that, this time it actually has an AutoLink come up, and there's only one. Now you could have a series of things that are available that are AutoLink targets that can connect with it. In this case, because it's a vanilla environment, there's only the one. And I'm going to pass in stereo systems because that's what I clicked on into that category sales, and you can see it picked up stereo systems. Again, a very basic chart, but you get the idea of the capability of auto-linking. And certainly if I picked, let's say computers and ran that, same thing. It would pass in the computer's value product category, and I get the output based on that. Very powerful feature. I don't believe enough people are aware of its capability and that it exists. And certainly, again, if I change this to a report and I run it, you also have that capability. And then I want to showcase the fact, well, let me just show it here, right? Just so that you can, I prove that it runs from a report perspective, right? Certainly did that. Yes, question?
Yep. Can I control the fields offered for Drill Anywhere? For example, an assembled page by using the binding option to specify exposed fields.
For Drill Anywhere, it's picking up everything from the synonym. So it's really based all off the synonym, right? We're giving you a capability, and it's literally just a checkbox without really much more than that. So if you have a restricted synonym, then that's what you would restrict on for selection. I hope that answers the question. Because it's not, you can't restrict, it's the field listing is the field listing based off the synonym, regardless of anything else that you might have in terms of a page. Okay. You could have filters that might be applying to that, but that's different than, but the actual field listing is based off the synonym. Okay, I know we're getting close to the end of time, and we're almost done. We're going to get through everything. And what I wanted to showcase here is what if I, did, and I enabled everything. I enabled AutoDrill and Drill Anywhere. Could even make this an AutoLink target, right? It's not going to have run with insight, right? Because those are mutually exclusive, and this is a report, it's not a chart. But if I run this, just wanted to showcase this real quick. You'll see that I have actually all 3 options available to me. I could drill down to, that's my AutoDrill. There's my Drill 2, which is my Drill Anywhere. And then I have my AutoLink. It's picking up only the one, but you get the idea, and it's certainly functional. And then I could actually convert this back to a chart if I wanted to. Let me just do this way. And that's because I have it, let's do blended. But because of reverting back, let's do it this way. I'll do the put product category in horizontal. Okay. And then I see I have those 3 enabled, and certainly if I run it, just so that you can see that they're all enabled and they're all available, right? So they're all there. And then if I were to save this, just to showcase it, so I'm going to say, Designer, Interactivity, Retail, Biz, visualization, just something like that. Doesn't matter. You get the idea. Now, again, if I convert this, it's going to tell me, oh, proceed. And if I proceed, what I have there is literally just a chart. It's not going to have anything because, again, that's an authored page, and those capabilities are automatically disabled. But again, you are not limited where you cannot have this capability on a page. So if I close this out, I'm going to leave because I don't care about that authored page, but I'm going to go to Assemble Visualization, and I'm going to pull in the visualization that we just created with all three of those options enabled. Certainly you don't have to, but I just wanted to showcase it that you certainly could. And then let me navigate back to where I have that, and let me add that content to the page, and let's run it. Have the page load. And then certainly you can see, right, I have the capability, the AutoDrill, the drill anywhere. So I certainly could do, if I wanted to, drill down to product subcategory, maybe use drill anywhere as well too. Once you start drilling that, and you drill at the top level is where you would see AutoLink, by the way. And notice that it stayed within the same container and everything like that. If I just reset, quick, you'll see I have AutoLink back. And certainly, and that would open in another page, obviously, and everything. This thing's so, but just to give you an idea, that truly is such dynamic capability with such little effort. And again, I know people had some great questions as it related to, you know, restricting maybe the fields that are being seen and everything. We're giving you a lot of capability with little effort. Again, otherwise you'd have to create manual drill downs, right? And that certainly has its function, and that capability is certainly there. And I take nothing away from that. That's great functionality. But just to be aware that you have the capabilities of giving users the ability with Run with Insight to create dynamic charts and adjust accordingly on the fly, maybe to get those insights so that it can limit the scope of what maybe you have to provide to the user. And then just all those AutoDrill capabilities, whether you're leveraging hierarchies in the data with AutoDrill or not with Drill Anywhere, or auto-linking to things that are already established out there that you can actually link to and connect to, and you can make those auto-link targets so that they can potentially be picked up by other content that's created, I think is extremely useful. And it's just to be aware that those features and those capabilities exist. So hopefully I gave everybody a lot of insight on to go back and leverage these features, you know, and definitely reach out with the survey at the end if you want to see more of this or what you want to see in future sessions. But I hope everybody gained some good insight today. Thank you.
One more question.
Sure.
Do you have the ability to relabel the AutoLink to be more user-friendly, or does the entity that is linked to need to be friendly named?
It has to be friendly named. Unfortunately, yeah, you don't have that kind of control. Still great new feature. I think that would be a great option to be able to control that.
Marianne, you raised your hand. Do you have a question you want to put in chat? Oh, no problem. Yeah, so for a couple of you, don't worry if you raise your hand by accident. It happens.
No worries.
And good to see you, Marianne. Hope you're well.
Yeah.
All right, so that kind of concludes our main portion of the session. We're going to go ahead and jump into the mainframe part, where we're going to show how to install the IBI-focused product on a mainframe. So if you're not on a mainframe, you don't have to stay. But if you do drop, please remember to fill out your surveys and evaluations. And we'll give everybody a chance to drop off, and then we'll jump in. Again, thanks everyone for coming. Share screen. Okay, let's jump into the IBI Focus installation. I've done this before. I tried to be as generic as possible. This time I'm running it on the newest version that's currently available. On the download site, the the current available version is 9.3.6. However, I'm actually installing 9.3.7. So I took a couple of little shortcuts, but the process is all the same. So to download the Focus installation files, you can go to support.ibi.com, sign in. Then you're going to click on Downloads, which is annotate over here. And then we're going to do product downloads e-delivery site. On this page, we're going to scroll down and find IBI mainframe. And then this is just a section that there's nothing to select here, so just go to download. And then you select what version you're downloading, your operating system, click on the EUA, and in this case, I did the full product download. The full product download will give you everything that's available in the IBI mainframe SKU, which is you get Focus, WebFOCUS on the mainframe, Open Data Hub, Data Migrator, all of those products are available and run on the mainframe. So it's a little overkill if you're only installing Focus, but I just went ahead and did it because I was curious of what you actually got. You could have done individual file download and just look for the Focus, the files needed for Focus. Click on download. It'll say ready to download. Get the downloader. Click on that. It will download. It'll show up in your downloaded files, and then you would have to right-click and run it. When you right-click on Run It, it will ask you where do you want to put the files. Prakash, the recordings will be shared sometime early next week. So you would have a link to the video, and you will also have, in my case, slides, the PowerPoints. So early next week, you should be getting all of that. If you don't get it, you can also look, because we also copy these and put them on YouTube under the Focus Friday heading under IBI. All right, download location. Here I'm going under my downloads directory /IBI folder. It'll go through the download process. Again, if you're doing all the files, then it's going to take longer. Once it's all done, you need to transfer the file to the mainframe. So this is 930 or higher, which is when we started using the .run file. So you're going to binary FTP the .run file from the e-delivery files that you just downloaded onto your ZOS USS side. To make sure that when you run the .run file doesn't have any issues, confirm that your path on your USS side contains or starts with dot meaning your current directory, :/bin, :/user bin, and then :/bin. So you can either just do an echo $path to see what your current path looks like and make sure this is at the beginning, or you can just prepend this using the export path command. Export the variable path equals those directories I mentioned prepended to the existing $path. And that's what this command will do. Why do I say that? We recently had a customer that had other modules with the same names of what we use, and they were interfering with the explosion of our files. So it's better to make sure that you're looking at your current path and then your user bin and bin before you start looking at any other products, bin directories. All right, execute the .run file by using the sh command. So in this case, and then proceed to iSetup. So here's the command sh ibi_focus.run. Now when you transfer the file to your mainframe from your PC, it doesn't really matter what the name of the file is on when you get it to your USS side. I would keep the .run extension so that you know it. But like in this case, I shortened it. I think we have like the gen version and different things in the file name. But for me, since I just wanted to get it over and not have to type as much as I needed to so I could make less mistakes, I went ahead and just called it ibi_focus.run. So we run that using the sh command, and then we get a message, creating directory pds_sf, verify the archive, and then we uncompress the libraries. Then it asks you, what is the high-level qualifier that you want to put these files under on your MVS side of the mainframe? So these will actually be data sets over there. So in my case, I'm using myid.vugwt for VUG walkthrough. Hit enter. And then it creates all the temporary data sets. It populates all of the data sets with the high-level qualifier. It restores them, and then you get a message from ISPF6, run the command, execute, and it gives you the name that it just expanded when you ran this process. Okay. So once you look over on the MVS side, so this is from ISPF, I'm doing a data set list. I have these 8 data sets. So now we do the iSetup part. To run iSetup, we're going to execute, and you can just copy and paste the command that it gave you because it's all in the same name. So I'm executing the files from vugwt, f.home.data, iSetup, and then I get this screen. Just verify that your job cards look valid, and I selected option 1 for install and configure. I could have done option 2 if I wanted to install and configure for Focus Studio. I didn't do that this time, but in the future session we might go that route. Then it's going to pre-fill your input libraries, which is going to be the same high-level qualifier that you ran iSetup from. So in this case, qcswxp.vugwt. And then it asks you, what do you want the final installation to be, the high-level qualifier. So in this case, I did qcswxp.vugprd for production. To make sure your unit and type are correct for your environment. And then hit enter. And then you have some options. It gives you the installation JCL library, preview output allocations. In this case, I'm not doing any preview. And then you have continue. So no, I don't want to continue. C will only create the JCL but not submit it, or you have S which will create it and submit it. So I'm doing an S in my case. I get a message saying that it's allocating the conf.data, which is where the JCL is going. It creates the options, creates the JCL, and then submits it. And then it tells you what the job name is and what the job number is that it's submitted. If you look under, I'm using SDSF, or if you have IOF, whatever your job monitoring tool that you use, we're just going to check and make sure that this ran okay and everything came back with a condition code 0. Once it's installed, now we can validate that it is functioning properly. So if you go into your dataset list and look for the high-level qualifier conf.data, which is this guy, inside of there's a member called Focus C. Focus C is a C list that will start Focus using the high-level qualifier datasets that you just created. Focus without a C would give you JCL to run Focus. So I'm going to put an EX in front of Focus C. You could have typed it out explicitly, execute your dataset conf.data and specify focus C here. And then if everything's good, you should have the focus banner and the focus prompt. In this case, I'm doing a little table file against sysset because sysset is available. I got 6 rows of outputs, which look like so. To exit focus, you want to enter the fin command that you're finished. So some things, some recommendations, some considerations. When you receive the f.home datasets, I would not use the same high-level qualifier for your installation. I would keep those separate so that way you always have a backup copy of all the datasets that you need for an installation. Okay. If you're upgrading, you want to make sure you copy any members in conf.cfg, conf.prf, and f.home.err that you might not have in the new configuration because it's a fresh configuration. So if you have an edit sprof in your conf.prf, then you would want to copy the one from the old environment into the new environment. And that way you keep all your adapter settings in order. The conf.cfg would have an edit serve. F.home.err may or may not have your F license. It depends on how you configured it. The F license could go in any one of these, the conf.cfg, the conf.prf, or the F.home ERR. So wherever you have it in the old version, you would probably want to put it also in that same data set in the new version. Lastly, as part of the licensing, you have to take the home.load IBIC PUID module and copy it from the old environment into the new environment. If you're on an older version and you just want to try the new version, you're going to then probably have to request a new license specifically for 936 or 937 when it comes out, because if you don't have an F license, or even if you did have an F license in 7.6, that's not compatible with the newer version. So we'll have to send you a new one. And that's it. All right. Renee, it looks like we finished on time.
It's good news.
Again, yeah. Again, thanks everyone for coming. Please remember to fill out your evaluations. All right. Thanks again, everyone. See you next month. And take care.